Good. And in the beginning, smoke. Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com, and today we have the second of these special releases of Diageo here on my cask. And here's the introductory video for this range, and this is the Caol Ila, 17 years old, unpeated. This is completely unusual for a Caol Ila. Typically the 12-year-old and the 18-year-old and the Moch, and well, I think there are a few more. They're typically hefty, peaty, and those whiskies, well, are not that available as we would like to, because the distillery works mainly for the blenders. And this Caol Ila is a whiskey for, well, Johnny Walker and J&B. And once in a year they produce an unpeated whiskey where they do not need to have this hefty phenolic peatiness, smokiness in the whiskey for the blends, so that you can add a hefty smokiness just by adding 5% of malt whiskey into the grain. So this one is unpeated, but it's also most often used for blending, and they are able to, well, get a few casks for the mass market and fill it at a very high age of 17 years for today, and in cask length, which is 55.9, and the price, well, is quite high, above 100. Why do they produce only once in a year? Well, if you have all this distillery equipment filled with faints and intermediate and the spirit receiver and the samples saved there, always leftovers, and they are extremely peaty, then you have to clean them once a year and have maintenance and so on. And that's the time where you remove most of the smokiness from the whole equipment. And then you can produce quite easily a batch of unpeated whiskey. And here we see this, and then they switch over to the typical peat whiskey production. And then, the peatiness accumulates in the system, in the intermediate spirit receiver, in the spirit receiver, in the vats for bottling, for casking, and so on. So this is unpeated. And here we have the leaflet, the book, which is not part of the delivery of this box. It's quite a standard box for Caol Ila, so the special release contains extremely well-made boxes and presentations, as well as standard bottles. Here you have a look at the distillery, Caol Ila Distillery, in former times, where the whiskey and the casks were shipped off the harbor, and and the maltings came in by ship also, and today everything goes by truck over the ferries. Distillery facts established in 1846 near Porter's Cake by Hector Henderson. Caol Ila means sound of Islay in Gaelic. Originally, a waterfall supplied power for the barley hoists and pressure for the fire hydrants. There's a coast, quite steep coast. So also the neighboring distillery, the Bunnahabhain, has this steep rising behind. Today, a novel heat exchanger uses the sea to cool hot process water before returning it to the condensers. Tastiness, appearance, bright gold in sunlight, good bedding. Caol Ila is famous for its ex-bourbon casks as well as its hogsheads. And And in the later times, they started to have sherry casks and others. And this bottling is the first one in these special releases. There are already a few out there with 8 years, 10 years, 14 years. There are several one out now, today, in 2015. This is the first one being matured in ex-bourbon casks. So this is, from the taste, it's different. At first fruity with zesty orange or mandarin, then slowly becoming sweeter and denser with malt and hard toffee and fresh creamy vanilla. There's a balancing, lightly smoky and fresh clean aroma too, backed by drier notes of new spirit and grainy cereal. Later, hints of moss or crusty sourdough bread. A dash of water unusually produces a prickly nose feel and makes the aromas more accessible, as fruitcake, wood smoke and caramel, salt on this, a sea breeze and sweet honey and lemon. Body, medium to rich. Palate, intense, starting with sweet mixed fruit, chocolate and ginger, then distinctly salty, growing warm and slightly bitter. Waxy and coating. Yes, Caol Ila is famous for its oiliness, and some people say it's waxy, not oily. Later adding a strong, clean herbal dryness. With water, the taste is softer yet somehow more pronounced. Still salty, but with a mineral edge, and now peppery across the tongue. Quietly clean and leathery, with pleasantly smooth tannins. Finish medium to long, warming and coating, with dark chocolate, an appetizing bitter sweetness, distant light smoke, and a touch of salt. With water, gently comforting with a lingering, cooling aftertaste of this Sichuan pepper. Yeah, that's it. As with the others, I have a small sample, and so I'm happy not to open one of those valuable bottles. Good. And in the beginning, smoke. How much? Well, between 5 and 8 ppm. Yeah. And then vanilla. Strong, hefty vanilla. So this smokiness might be leftovers from the production before. Perhaps they did not drain the faints receiver. And then there's some toffee. And this orange juice, this mandarin, tangerine. And this wonderful, wonderful vanilla. So this is very complex with the smoke, with the mandarin, the vanilla, and a faint toffee. Yeah. So I still have one whiskey to go today, and so I'm not able to drink this neat. And on the other hand, the strong alcohols extract the water from your tongue, from your cells in your tongue and the taste buds, and this is paralyzing your tongue. So drinking with a too high strength of above a 50 ABV, it's no good for you. Also in the long run. More fruity. The oranges and mandarins are coming through, very good. Vanilla still strong. But it's a complex aroma. Wonderful. sweetness, mouth-watering, and ginger, hefty ginger. Yesterday, I peeled some ginger, fresh ginger, cut it into slices, and had some in the evening. And this immediately intense, spicy aroma of the ginger is in this whiskey. Wonderful. Fading away quite fast, faster than the original ginger did. And, well, some saltiness coming up. Yes. So it's quite rare to have some impressions of saltiness with a whiskey because it's a distilled spirit and all the ions of the salt will stay back. Well, some say the saltiness may come back by the maturing cask close to the sea, where the salt content in the air is quite high. Well, might be, but most of the Islay whiskey, the whiskey produced in Islay, is not matured on Islay because the warehouses are too few on Islay, and there are limitations on building them. And there's this herbal spiciness. Yeah, there are some old women in the center of Munich at the entrance to the department stores. They're selling those spices and those herbs, and if you're passing them, there's a full aroma, and from time to time I take some with me just to have a nose on it. Yeah, a wonderful dram. This is one you have to look for. This is really a complex, a good one, a very untypical Caol Ila, but it shows what the aromas, the oiliness of Caol Ila is if you remove the smokiness on top of it. This extreme smokiness they need for the blending industry. So this is wonderful. There's still some smokiness there to add a little complexity. Well, yes. The whole picture is really, really good. Thank you for watching. There's more to come. And please add, as always, your comments to our blog and to our whiskey database on Whisky.com.